Hello.
Good evening, everybody. Still working on sharing this
Good
out.
evening. Yeah,
All right, so everybody in the audience, can you hear me okay?
can hear you loud and clear. Hey, Joanne.
Why can't I
No.
see?
Yeah, because I've been sick. I've been coughing a lot lately, and it always happens this time of year. I lose my voice, but I got a lot to talk about tonight.
Is it a cold that you got?
It, Sinuses.
Oh, seems like a lot of people have been getting sick recently, this past month or two.
Oh, it always happens at this point. Usually, it happens to me in the middle of January.
Hey, Antone, good to see you. According to Joanne, yeah, yep, they're saying the same thing. They could hear you loud and clear.
Very Very good. So I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I've been kind of promoting the show a little bit tonight.
hmm I've seen it.
So, and there's a very important reason why I had probably the most important information given to me that I had been trying to get for the last almost 20 years now.
Hmm,
Oh,
Yes.
this is interesting.
So I don't know if anybody has noticed tonight. The tagline on tonight's show is called Genetic Mutations.
Genetic mutations.
Yep.
are you finally going to tell us you have a tail?
Does this count?
I was going to
No.
actually ask, do you have a parasitic twin attached to you?
Um, I've got something attached to me, but I'm trying to lose it. So, as everybody knows, my daughter, 15 years ago, was diagnosed with autism.
hmm
We just found out today that what she has is not autism.
Really?
Yeah, what she actually has is a genetic mutation of a specific gene called the KCNH1.
I've
CNH1.
never heard of that.
Neither have I. That's new to
Not,
me.
not many people have. It has been around for a little while. 20 years ago, they didn't know the effects of it. And as it turns out, the KCNH1, everyone has two of them.
So does this is this kind of I mean, I know obviously this is recent, but is this kind of like one of the more recent diagnoses that have been made, like you said, within the last 20 years or so? Or
Did I talk about taking her down to Indianapolis for a geneticists appointment?
I don't think
Uh-uh.
so.
No? Okay. Well, back in October, I took her down to Indy. It was actually the day before I went to Whispers Estate.
Oh, really?
I took her down to Indy to see a geneticist at IU Medical Health and, talk to the doctor. He had three assistants with him, three student assistants. And oh boy, they were for their age, they should not be as smart as they were. I'm telling you.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm not surprised. Hey, Noreen, surprised to see you
Well,
here.
IU, in my opinion, is one of the better universities in the country.
Well, I believe it. I definitely do.
So, so they did some genetic swab and just do swabs inside the mouth. They did the same thing for me. They mailed out a package to a mother. They said that they were going to run the most extensive testing that they had. And let me tell you, it was extensive. This is October. I got the results back about 3 weeks ago. Lady called me on the phone to explain to me a little bit about it. But did not really explain it. She just said it was a genetic mutation on this one gene. We lost Nick.
I think he just muted himself or something for a minute.
Nick, you
I'm
need to.
looking it up here. And I mean, I know some of the symptoms she does have, but
He's on the
did
phone.
she have a seizure within minutes of birth?
No,
Okay.
but seizures are extremely prominent in the earlier years. And then as they grow older, they become fewer and fewer. And that was exactly how it was for her. It had been 13 years since she's had a seizure.
Sorry, guys. No, I, you guys didn't lose me. Don actually just tried calling me. I just told him on a show right now. Can I call you back in an hour?
Tell him to watch this show. This could be important to him too.
Oh, I should have said that to him. Yeah. Okay.
Um, so KCNH1 is something that every human being has. They have two of them. For Angelia, one of them is corrupted, and the genetic sequencing, it's not the DNA. It's deeper than that. How do I describe it the way that she did? I was on a video call with her for an hour today, and she was giving me a shitload of information. Um, and Dad was with me, and being at his older age, it's hard for him to truly understand and grasp certain things. Even he said that she explained it in a way that he was able to understand everything she said.
I
And okay,
just informed Don about this. So sorry, Jerry. Go on.
so so the KNH1 is a genetic sequence of four different letters: T, A, C, and G. Hi, Scott.
Hey, Scott.
And all of those letters stand for something. She showed me the diagram. I don't remember what they were. She was supposed to send me this PowerPoint today. I was hoping to be able to have it to show you guys on here, but she hasn't sent it yet. So these are they're in a very specific order. The TCG8, T, A, C, and G are in a specific order. And I am going to share something here. Let's see this one. Yeah. So let's see. Zoom in. All right. Here's the name of it. They don't have a. They're not acronyms for anything. It's just the letters that they assigned it. It's a neurodevelopmental disorder with multiple anomalies, which Angelia most certainly has.
Hmm.
The variant, this is what got me, where it says here C1070GA, in the 1007th gene, where it should be a G from that TACG sequence, where it should be a G, hers came up as an A in the 1070th gene.
Hmm.
And because of that one change, that is why she is the way that she is.
It makes a lot of sense, now that I'm seeing a lot of this, because I never would think in a million years that this would be a different type of diagnosis, but with the way how you're describing it makes so much more sense now.
It yes, it makes It's a newer thing. I talked to her new neurologist yesterday. He had never heard of this, and when he looked it up, he told me this thing is rare. And when I was talking to the lady that was giving me the information, she told me that this is about a 1 in a million.
That was my next question. I was going to say, is this like a 1 in a million or 1 in 1,000?
Yeah.
That's okay. So you already answered my question then.
So, and it says here inherited from unknown. The way that this is, it's not inherited to her. It just happened to be a
Stop.
very random freak of nature thing that happened to her.
Okay.
So
So
now, are they going to do some testing and things because it's so rare? Are they going to test her?
we have another appointment um, in 1 year's time. Although I did ask for an earlier appointment, like October or November, because I told her that up here we just got our third ice storm inside of a week.
I'm not surprised. Yeah.
You'd think you live in Colorado.
We had quite the amount of snow here last night, as you guys probably saw.
So and she said that with the KCNH1, there are so many different there are so many different symptoms that go with it. Autism is one of them.
Okay.
I'm not
Now,
surprised.
here's what she said: just because you have that KCNH1 genetic mutation does not automatically mean you're autistic,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Hey,
and
Scott.
the other way around. Hey, Scott.
Did you tell Scott?
And
No, I told him that this was something he was going to want to watch. Scott, I had just been talking about how my daughter's autism is not autism. It is a genetic mutation in one of her genes. Tom, it is not curable. There is no gene therapy. There's nothing. They are still doing studies on that. Um,
I'm wondering if she could, with the doctors that she has really not knowing a whole lot about it, I wonder if she would just, as long as she's had it and as long as she's lived with it, maybe she could be of help to the science community.
that's
she,
what I was wondering too. Like maybe this could be something really big, I would say.
yeah, she was born with it,
Okay.
Hmm.
so it's just an extremely random thing.
Yeah.
Because I wondered if I had given her something from my genes. I had wondered if her mother gave her something from her genes. And the lady that I talked to today, it did not come from either one of us. It is just one of those things that happens.
So, okay, so that's a gene mutation. So, what is autism?
Something different.
Yeah, it's something different.
But wouldn't that also be, well, kind of like, Down syndrome is an extra chromosome, which
Right.
is completely different than Angelia. So, where does autism fall in that? What is there an extra something? Is something missing? Is it
I don't think they still know yet.
Yeah, it's still I mean, when it comes there's different answers obviously when it comes to us with autism, but like it's I could sure understand like where this is, the answer is unsure as of right now. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised.
But think about it. It went all the way to the 1070th
yeah,
gene sequence.
Yeah.
And that one letter, they call it a misspelling because
yeah,
it should be a G, but it's an A.
yeah.
And
And
Said
Just
that
that one
just
caused all that.
yep, just that one just completely throws it out of the water for her.
Well,
So
and that's why I was wondering, like, okay, so that's still neurological.
yes,
And I know a lot of times autism can also be neurological
Yes.
it
to
is.
where it affects, yeah, well, yeah, to a point it is because, like, it affects some worse than others, sounds, um, uh, textures, different things like that. So, like the one we had, it anger issues,
Yep.
things like that. But that's, it's interesting to.
Well,
I'd like to get to the bottom of
here's how
why.
she explained it. Autism has its umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the KCNH1. The autism spectrum can fit in the KCNH1,
Right.
but
Yeah.
it's a very fine line. When you have one, that does not mean you have the other.
Right. Right.
Sometimes you can have both.
Yeah.
Uh, I just
So
got to say this quickly from what I saw. Noreen here says that sound like in this case, it sounds very similar to her friend's daughter's diagnosis, who has a very rare genetic condition that it's pronounced KIFFA
the
And
gene,
what's that?
the Kiffa gene.
Kiffa Oh,
So
that's
they're coming up with all these different things. So
Oh no! It's not. It's not KIFFA. It's KIF4A.
4A. Okay.
okay. So they're coming up with all these new things. Are these things really new, or is it something we're just learning about? If it is new, what's causing it? Is it the additives in the food? Is it the sprays that they're spraying in the field? Is it something we're ingesting, inhaling? What's going on?
With
That's what I often wonder.
with Angelia, she was born with it. So if anything happened, it would have happened during the pregnancy.
Right, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the same with autism. If something happened, it happened within the pregnancies.
Yeah.
But what is causing this? I mean, there's got to be a reason it hasn't been diagnosed before, or we don't say 100 years ago this happened, or it was this, or did we just not know about it and it was here and it was that prevalent?
As far as I know, her mother did not drink or smoke while she was pregnant.
Right.
Because I know that can have some adverse effects too.
Yeah. I can.
Sure.
Um, she
I
was
smoked with all mine. There ain't a damn thing wrong with them except they're just like me and hateful.
um, what can I say to that?
Yeah. I don't know. I no comment for that.
Yeah, be very careful.
Yeah, I think the no comment would be the best way to go.
Yeah. That's why I'm not saying anything.
Yeah, 'cause then we could become the new Brad.
Yeah.
Uh,
no.
she was on seizure medication while she was pregnant with her, which is why I originally thought she got the epilepsy from her.
Yeah.
Turns out that may not have been the case. I
Right.
spent
That's
20
what I was
years
thinking.
thinking she inherited it from her.
Yeah.
Not necessarily blaming her because
Right.
it's not her fault.
No. No.
Um, Now, with all of this information here, it's
Hey,
wow,
Grizzly.
just completely changes everything I've ever known.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
but
and and spent her entire lifetime trying to get these answers.
Yeah.
yeah, but it doesn't change the way you take care of her because that's going to stay the
No,
same.
Yeah.
no,
It's gonna still
right,
be like that forever.
yeah. But now there's a better understanding of what it is. She gave me a whole list of symptoms with the KCNH1, and one of them was autism.
Yeah.
Another one was overgrowth of gum tissues, which she has. Another
Mhm.
one is scoliosis, which she has bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another one was thick and fuller hair.
I saw that, but you know what? With your hair, I wouldn't have thought a thing about that.
Well, I got thick hair. Her mother had thick hair, but the thing
Yeah.
about her is that she has excessively long eyelashes.
And see,
And,
okay, so
and the lady
when I
said that would count.
when I looked it up, there this is what it says. Seizures including seizures within hours of birth,
She never had that.
developmental delays,
Yep.
intellectual disability, limited speech and mobility, which is I'm sure where the scoliosis comes in.
Not
Sleep
for me.
disturbance.
Oh, mobility. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
Sleep disturbance.
Yep.
Uh feeding difficulties.
Yep.
Thick hair, uh dysmorphic faces, hypotonia, which I don't know what that means.
That is. She explained it to me because I asked about that. It's that is during the infancy stage.
Oh,
Um. I don't remember what she said about it, but it was not something Angelia had.
okay.
Um,
Uh, thick, broad toes.
Differences in hands and fingers she did mention. She did not have that. But what she does do, she's got the regular 10 digits, but a lot of times she does like this.
Uh
I
huh.
like that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
her
Yep.
fingers are not distorted, not dis, disfigured, nothing like that. There is nothing on her that is disfigured unless you count the curvature of her spine.
And then it says the differences in shape of the hands, feet, and nails.
Was another
Long eyelashes.
Yes, nails was another thing that she said. Sometimes that they don't even grow
Uh huh.
fingernails. Hers did, uh,
Okay.
but she ended up ripping a toenail off.
Oh.
This was years ago. It was, what did she do? It was one of those things where when we found it was like, sometimes when you cut, when you're trimming your fingernails, and it takes you like three in a row to get the whole thing off, and you got this one long thing.
Uh
Yep.
huh.
She had one of those that was just hanging there.
Oh. Jeez.
Somehow, I think it came off when she pulled a sock off.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
Oh man, that had to hurt.
I'm
Ah,
sure
jeez,
it
I can
did,
And
feel that. Ah.
but
it talks about
it never grew back.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I have one like that too. It says open mouth, differences in shape, hands, feet, nails. Okay, differences in the appearance of the head and facial features. Her head and facial features are symmetrical to her. I
They
mean, there's
and
no issue there.
the overgrowth of her gums. Her teeth are a little spread out.
Well, it does say delayed development of teeth.
Uh, she didn't really have that. She's got her adult teeth.
Right, right. But did she start losing them later than most kids?
No,
Hmm.
Antone was asking, what was the catalyst that affected the gene? Oh, I don't know if that was the question. What was the catalyst that affected the gene is unknown.
they don't know what caused it.
It
And
does say here it's primarily expressed in the central nervous system. KCNH1 disorders have been associated with syndromic neurodevelopmental disorders, including temple Barretter syndrome, TMBTS.
I know what you're talking about because I was actually just reading about that. That is that is not her. Um,
Sounds like she got the best end of this because a lot of the worst situations she does not have.
Right, right. I figured that's what how I kind of see it too.
she,
It
she,
says the gum issues require repeated surgeries.
which she's had three of them.
Oh, has she? Okay.
Yeah, and what that entails, Nick, you're not going to like this. What that entails is that the surgeon has to go in and cut away pieces of her gum
Yeah.
to expose her teeth again.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
really?
We've had that done three times inside of a 5 year span.
Oh my God.
And right now, I am trying to find another oral surgeon that can do that for her.
But she's not on a feeding tube, right?
No.
It
Is this
says on the severe cases, they're wheelchair bound and dependent on feeding tubes. And tragically, some have died from seizures and other complications if they didn't make it to their older years, which
Now,
she did.
now the seizure that she had 13 years ago, that one should have killed her. She had a seizure so bad that, Adrian, you're going to like this one. She had a seizure so bad that during the time that she was having her seizure, I was having a dream about her being in a room full of fire.
And you didn't know that she was seizing.
I did not know until the next day. Dad took her to the hospital. He did not call me because he knew I had to work the next day.
Wow.
jeez.
Yeah. And he knew that it was best not to call me because I wouldn't go into work and he didn't want me to miss a day's pay,
Yeah, yeah.
which I get that.
Hey
Yeah,
Bridget. Hey
I
Bridget.
do too. I mean, if there was nothing you could do, then I get it.
Yeah.
She was in the hospital for 3 days. And because of her condition, they had to put like fishing net around her bed to keep her from leaving the bed.
Yeah.
Man.
Um, so so they examined her and everything and noticed that she was having seizure activity for 3 straight days.
Jeez.
So so when I say that should have killed her, I am not joking.
Well, and she didn't come out any different, did she? Out of the hospital?
No,
No.
not really.
That that's lucky in
Yeah,
itself
it
because
really is.
my brother has seizure. Well, let me back up. My mother had 8 children in a row, and you do that. Don't let your body recover. It gets worse each time. I was the first, but that youngest one, when he had seizures, each time he would have one, his mental capacity would go downhill each time, and it was bad. To where he eventually, I mean, he always capable of taking care of himself as far as the world saw, but he really was not. Um, he ended up.
Oh,
Hey Nick, you like this? We have another viewer from
yeah, I was just about to say another viewer from Bangladesh. Hello there, welcome.
What
that's
time
pretty
is it there, bub?
It's got to be already like the morning, I think, over there.
Yeah, it is morning. They're either 12 or 13 hours ahead of us.
Here,
Oh, ahead of me. Ahead of me.
Ahead of you. Hey, so how is tomorrow? Let's get that out there. I know we live till tomorrow, so how's tomorrow?
oh, hey, Katie.
Hi, Katie.
What time is it currently in
Katie.
Bangladesh?
So, so for her, when she has her seizures,
7:42 a.m. over there. They're just starting their day.
Okay.
Oh, so it's only
Yeah,
11 hours ahead of me then.
yeah. It's
Oh,
yeah,
about
it's early in the morning over there.
okay. So when she had her seizures, she would go to sleep right away, and she'd be asleep for the rest of the day.
Yeah, yeah. I hear that when I was working as a CNA, that's the one thing they told us is it will wear you out because you're using every one of your muscles is tensed up so hard that you're using as much as you would use in a week
She
in that
actually
time.
had a seizure while I was holding her one time.
That's I don't know. That's I
Yeah,
did it in a nursing
that was
home,
a
but
scary
that's
moment.
different.
But all it was for her was that her bottom jaw quivered, like it really
Uh-huh.
quivered quick, but it only lasted like 15 seconds. But after that, she was done for the night. I picked her
Yeah.
up, put her in bed.
Just
It
out of
would it be
curiosity.
hard to tell with her, like, because I know she keeps her arms sometimes up like this or her fingers like this. Would it be hard to tell if she's her whole body's seizing?
Uh, at that moment, I don't remember because that was before she had that big seizure, and that in itself was 13 years ago.
Well, here's a
I,
question.
I just remember sitting there on the couch. She was sitting beside me, laying on me. Her head was on my belly, and then all of a sudden it was just start shaking really, really bad.
Just out of curiosity, like when she starts having these seizures, I think anybody would, but does she like panic, or does she like cry or react to any of it, or like how does she usually handle it?
In the almost 16 years I've had her, she's only cried 2 times.
Okay.
She has an extremely high tolerance for pain. Um, but from seizures, I don't remember if any tears came out of her from that or not. I think it was just as soon as it was done, she was done.
Yeah, because I
So
was gonna say that'd scare anybody. That's a scary
it
situation.
was scary, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Anybody.
Katie, just to catch you up, my daughter, who had been for the last 15 years been diagnosed with autism,
Hmm.
turns out is not autism. And being in the medical field, I'm sure you will want to look this up. What she has is a genetic mutation of the gene KCNH1. Um, Again, that is KCNH1. It is a freak of nature.
Yeah.
The lady told me today that it is like a one in a million for her. I don't know what the exact number is, but it's excessively rare.
Bridget here, seizures are no jokes. My oldest had seizures at 9 and 12 months. She was significantly delayed because of the seizures and phenobarbital. I don't know how to say that word. Brain spikes were in different places each time. Neuro called them idiopathic. She now has what was called waking REMs, where it basically looks like she's zoning out.
That's I've
Phenobarbital,
seen that a lot.
Okay.
phenobarbital, I think.
And
Yep, I've seen that. I've seen where they it's almost like silent seizures.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's just. Oh, and Katie, when they look to her genes, there is in this case CNH1, there are 4 letters assigned to each specific gene in this sequence, and it's TACG. They went to the 1070th gene where it should be a G, but it's an A. And that is what caused Angelia to be the way that she is. Just that one change in letter completely screwed everything up for her. And it's not something she inherited from me. It's not something she inherited from her mother. She was just born with it, and it was a total random thing that happened to her. No cure, um, no medications. She did say they are hoping at some point to be able to do some sort of gene therapy, but that's still a good ways away.
I'm sure.
Yeah, my guess is it will probably be beyond her lifetime before they even come up with something that they feel might even be safe enough to try.
I wouldn't be the least bit surprised, but yeah.
Yeah, but and for me, this is completely groundbreaking, earth shattering, because for all this time, I had always said it's autism, but that's how it was. When she was diagnosed with autism, this KCNH1 thing where what they know did not even exist.
Hmm.
Now we have this definitive answer, and we know
Yeah.
exactly what the problem is.
Right.
So, like I said, this changes everything. This changes everything in what we understand about her. It's not necessarily that's something in her brain, it's her whole gene.
I just can't help but think like I can't even imagine like once you received that type of information, like you said, now that this changes everything. I
It,
mean, I'm
it was
sure
overwhelming.
I was gonna say it must have stopped you dead in your tracks when you heard this.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it. Yeah.
I mean, I think it would for anybody after 15 years of thinking that you know what you know, and then getting this type of news. I
Yeah.
can't, I can't picture a reaction like that any other way.
And get this. A former geneticist that we did used to see. Um, she wanted to send her in for a specific kind of genetics test, but the insurance denied it because it was too expensive. Think
Yeah,
about,
I love it. I fucking love
yeah,
insurance.
think about that.
Yeah.
Insurance denied it because it costs too much money, but yet they have no problem approving other surgeries that cost $100,000. This genetics testing only was going to cost $4,000.
Yeah, and they told me that I have to come up with $500 for my mammogram because it's no longer preventative; it's diagnostic. Why would you not want to do the diagnostic, but you'll do the preventative? The preventative is to diagnose. What is your thinking at this point?
Katie, she had ABA. She stopped doing that a year ago. Again, that was because of insurance, but also because of her age. She plateaued.
While we are on this, this is just something for y'all to read later. Um, this just came across. My aunt shared it. It just gave her profile, didn't it? Damn it! If
Um,
you can get on her, if you're
nothing.
able to click on it,
No, nothing came up.
it doesn't come up her profile.
No, it says content isn't available right now. You may just have to screenshot it.
This is about a developmentally delayed. Actually, what I'll do, I'll share it on my page,
Okay.
and you can read it off my page. This I only got to see part of it because I was listening, but uh, unreal, unreal. Um, about how people treat
Katie,
people
trust
with
me, we
delays.
don't worry about language on this show.
Yeah, that's
Management
nothing new,
insurance
Katie.
companies are a piece of shit. Yeah, yeah, they absolutely are. And I've got the best I can get through my job. I pay too damn much for it. But yeah, so anyway, we are we're gonna I had to move my testing up for until March, and we'll save the money and we'll get it done, and that'll be the end of that.
Okay, now I see it. When I look on the network page, it only comes up as important discussion and revelations. I put down on the show title Supernatural Talk Genetic Mutation, so that didn't even, yeah.
Oh,
So I really got to get used to how I do these shows so that people know exactly what we're talking about.
well, we didn't even know what the hell you were talking about.
I wanted you guys to find out same time as everybody else did.
Yeah, of course. She's sorry. Everyone's calling me today. The last 2 days. Holy cow.
Here's an idea. Here's an idea. You put the phone on mute. You don't look at it during the show,
Yep.
and you send a little message when somebody calls. There's little messages you can send
Yep.
and say producing, call you back.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get used to sending those messages. But yeah, the last 2 days, everybody has been looking for me. Like,
Oh,
holy
here's the thing: they send you the message. Guess what? Those messages will be there when you're done with the show.
Yep, that's true. That's true.
Unless one of them say I'm dying, don't worry about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, sometimes
Anyway,
even then, because he
Well,
might be using that just to get his attention.
well, that's true.
Some people have done that.
oh yeah, yeah they
Well,
have.
So yeah, this is it was overwhelming listening to all of this and thinking, holy shit, everything that I thought has completely changed.
Right.
uh-huh.
Yep.
And it's
But the bright side of that is that there is nothing you could have done in the younger years to make it any different.
right.
Now,
It-
you would have gotten a diagnosis that said, if you would have done this, and this, it would have been different. That would have been awful.
Yeah, because I remember that even though nothing was really ever substantiated, that the autism gene comes from the father. So I had to live with that in my head forever. Again, it was never proven. Just like it had never been proven that vaccines
Yeah.
cause damage as well. That was
No,
never
people are
proven.
speculating on that because before some of these vaccines came out, it wasn't a thing. It wasn't a diagnosis.
Right.
So that's why they're assuming that. Now, whether it's true, we don't know. I know that even here in Colorado now, which I mean, we're right next to California as far as laws, but they got rid of uh, red red dye, the number 5 or whatever it is. They got rid of that here. It's in Cheetos, Doritos, Takis, Kool-Aid, things like that. They got rid of that because they realized that causes problems.
Well, just about everything in the world right now causes problems.
Yep.
Because we have too many chemicals and not enough natural.
Yeah. So, as of right now, they still do not know what causes this
Yeah.
for her, but at least they know that this is what the problem is.
Right.
Um, and this here, this goes to show that all the research that they have been doing all of these decades, and people are wondering, well, what do you guys got to show for it? This
Right.
is what we got to show for it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes a minute.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah. And
if you don't know, You
20
have to
years.
research.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It took 20 years to figure this out. So, so this, I would urge any parent of an autistic child, if your insurance will cover it, go to a geneticist and have them do a geneticist test on your child. All they do is just get swabs inside the mouth. That is it.
Like a DNA test.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's all they need. There is no blood drawn. There's nothing sticking up your nose because I wouldn't have done that. Um, but that's all they do. They swab the inside of your mouth. They swab the inside of the mouths of both parents,
Hey, Mark.
and that's how they do it. And that's what they figured out, and they go in deep.
Yep.
So any parent of any autistic child, if you do that, they just might find out what is the exact cause of what's going on. So Nick,
Yeah, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised, when
right.
it comes to, I've, to be completely honest with you guys. I mean, I know I'm thinking obviously, I've been this is several years down the road well, it has been several years down the road. I often kind of sometimes wonder that out of all these years that I've been diagnosed with autism, because they diagnosed me when I was only 3. So
She was 4 when she got her diagnosed.
yeah, that's usually around. I mean, I know I've been told from my mom that I guess now they've just found out other ways to like diagnose even those before they're born apparently. But the most common age of diagnosis for it is usually around the age 3-4 range.
Yeah,
And so now that I look back on this, yes, I was diagnosed with it at age 3, but I often wonder if I went in like to see a doctor at some point and they wanted to do like and they discovered some other new diagnosis that nobody, including myself, obviously would have known about after almost 30 years after I was diagnosed with it.
Yeah.
So it's definitely it's become kind of I mean, with everything you're saying, Jeremy, it's kind of become a curiosity for me. It makes me wonder a lot now, thinking, could there be something else, I guess for lack of a better term, within me that I don't know about myself?
that's why I would very highly suggest get a genetics testing. Um, it doesn't mean that you will get a definitive answer,
Right.
but I got one.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Um,
something I would have to, that's actually something I might even suggest asking my parents about because you never know. Like you said, we might get a definitive answer, we might not, but it could be
exactly.
the answer if there is some definitive answer, just like it was with you, it could be overwhelming not only just for me but for my parents also.
Well, it was overwhelming because it was changing everything I thought I knew.
Right. Well,
So
it would be the same thing for them too because they're my parents, obviously.
right. So from my perspective, like I said a few minutes ago, I had it in my head that I passed a specific gene to her that caused her to be autistic. So there's that level of guilt there.
Yeah, yeah.
So do your parents have something like that?
I'm not
They
entirely
ever
sure.
said they wondered if they might have passed something on to you and they feel guilty about it? If you get a genetics testing like this and it shows that it's not, that would put them at ease.
See, I know this is going to sound crazy. This is kind of a show now that I just wish I could just run upstairs and grab my parents for them to be part of this because I'm sure you know
Just
it
have
would.
them watch the show.
I've tried telling them they should watch the show, but
If
unfortunately,
there is a show for them to watch, this is it.
yeah, yeah. Well, and even if it's, I would even tell them even if they're not watching it live, they could always watch it later too.
Right. Because to me, this here is probably the most important thing I have ever learned.
Yeah, yeah,
Is now I have a true answer for her condition.
right. Okay.
So, so now it's going to be a matter of, I'm not even sure what I would call it, but I don't want to call it autism anymore.
Yeah, it's when you receive an answer like that, especially like you said, after all these years, you thought you knew in this case he had autism. She had autism, excuse me. It's almost like you just don't know, and this with a new diagnosis like this, you just don't know what to call it at that point.
Right. At this point, there is no actual name to it. I would almost say just call it Angelia syndrome.
Yeah.
That's what I would do, honestly. That would probably be the best answer I would come up with.
But how would that ever get accepted in the medical world?
Yeah,
Usually,
unfortunately,
they
yeah, I was going to say in this day and age, it's hard to basically come up with a term like that.
right. All I know is that it is a genetic mutation for the KCNH1. There's no name.
Yeah,
So, Angelia syndrome.
it's almost like, I mean, honestly, this is the best. It's almost like just like a surprise syndrome. If I mean, genetic, if anything, you just don't know. Again, like I said, it stops you in your tracks. You just don't know what to call it at that point, except a term like that.
Yeah. So, so this is why it is also important to continue research, and this is what I find concerning because supposedly Trump is signing executive orders to end certain research.
Oh no.
I haven't heard for sure, but that's the word that people are throwing around. But a lot of people like to spread a lot of false stuff too.
Yep, that's true.
So I would urge, if there is a consideration for ending research, especially on stuff like this is not the time because they're showing that they have the medical technology to do it.
Yep,
Mhm.
yep. Yeah, this is like what, regardless of the fact whether it's true or not, they could have chosen basically the worst particular time to do it because now we, like you said, we got all this stuff to really help, when it comes to not just in this case with a genetic like this or even autism, but other types of disabilities out there. This is obviously something at a time. When it comes to certain type of technology, it's certain. This is at a time where trying to figure out the right officials is desperately needed. I think basically trying to sign that off, right as we're, becoming more advanced with this, it's a terrible time to do it right now. It would be terrible at any time though when you think about it.
At any time, yeah, absolutely. And this day and age, it is so easy to throw it under autism spectrum
Yeah, yeah, that's correct.
because they got it so wide, much sort of like how the paranormal is. The paranormal spectrum is so wide. You got so many different aspects of it that may not even be connected to each other.
Yep, yep,
So with the autism spectrum, now it seems like they are starting to break things down and separate them, say, okay, this is what this is. Now they can find another condition that's in the autism spectrum and narrow it down. Okay, this is what this is. This is what causes this, or this is what is causing, like in her case, the genetic mutation.
Yeah. Well,
right.
when they find new things, obviously they're going to have to research and they're going to have, more than one patient and they're going to have to compare and they're going to have to do things. But to me, I think they had a cure for cancer a long time ago.
I agree.
Oh
They're
yeah,
not
I
dumb.
definitely think.
I
These
agree.
people are not dumb.
Yeah, I was gonna say like, what? in the year that we live in now, considering how much is really, how much has been going on in the in the medical field, there is no doubt in the least bit at all in my mind that there's definitely a cure for, or even a vaccine. Believe it, like for cancer out there, there just has to be.
Um, Katie, when you said, do they walk on tiptoe? Angela actually did that at one time, but she doesn't anymore. But she did do that at one time. Didn't last very long. So education is under the Department of Education. I don't know why I'm having to smack myself now just to be able to talk right. I can't talk.
I just say I just can't talk today. That's how I do it.
At least you got a voice. Yeah, my voice disappeared this morning.
Oh boy,
Yeah, I was doing 4 shows in 2 days.
war. Oh, that's
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
I
yeah,
was you. I did
that's right.
one Sunday, and then I did an impromptu one literally beyond last minute because Zach had me come on to the show after he started. Um, so, so Katie, the way that I'm understanding with the whole Department of Education is that they are now giving it all back to the states and letting the states handle it. Nothing on the federal level. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I don't know. It depends on the state. Some states, I mean, they're synonymous with dumb people.
Yep.
I think a lot of states are synonymous with dumb people, but
Yeah, for the most part, they
yeah,
usually
But
are.
that's when you have a choice to move to another state
right.
Hmm.
that you feel is along your line of thinking. I have no problem with that. I don't think it should have been done the way it was done, but that's I'm not up there.
So yeah, so I'm overjoyed with this.
Yeah, because this is like, to me, this is that one question that you often wonder that after, in this case, after 15 years with this case with Angelia, that you've now uncovered something. Again, it's kind of hard to describe. It's like you
This,
uncovered
this is
something
this is uncovering the bone of a dinosaur you didn't know existed.
that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for the archaeologists, discovering this thing is the biggest thing in the world for them. This is the biggest thing for me. Discovering this for her.
Yeah. Yeah.
It it's just a shame that she'll never understand that. Um, but oh, and and the lady had one slide on her slideshow. You know, different kids with different kinds of looks. There was this one kid that stood right out. I pointed at him. I said, "That's Angelia right there,"
Yep.
because he had the exact kind of smile, the way that he was holding on to a little toy guitar, and it's almost sort of like how she would be. Is it? That's Angelia right there. Out of all them kids, that's her.
Hmm.
Huh?
It's it's just amazing.
Yeah. Really.
I'm still getting chills from it.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's I don't know. It's just really something else.
Well, now let's see what they discover and how much they can learn from her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I had I had thought about, you know, putting something down in writing for for when it's her time.
Hmm.
Maybe donate her brain to science.
That's a
Hmm.
good idea, actually. I mean, to be
Yeah,
honest, for someone like myself personally, I mean, yeah, I've done all the agreements like where I'm going to like donate myself after my time is up, eyes, whatever. But I think we might have all. I think we may have also donated. I think we might have donated my brain also to science as well. I gotta check back with that again. But I think I've done the same thing.
yeah. I don't. I haven't even. I need to figure out how to even get that process started.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't even know how to start that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not an easy process from what I heard.
because if this lady is right and she really is a one in a million case, granted there'd be a million kids out there the same way, but it could be a big help for them in understanding, down the
Yeah.
line.
Yeah.
And
I think so.
maybe even be able to try to detect it before birth, because I'm sure that at some point medical technology will advance to the point where they can be able to fix these kinds of genetic mutations before a baby is born.
Yeah, because I mean, why couldn't they either remove that one and put it in its place, or completely remove it if it doesn't need to be there? You know, that one gene, whatever the case might be.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, we are kind of digging into science fiction here,
Yeah, really.
but who's to say it can't come true?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was what we're doing right now. Well, let's go back to that first movie that had a submarine in it. Submarines didn't exist. That was a science fiction show.
that's right.
It was black and white, but you know. Anyway, a
Yeah.
lot of Star Wars stuff, Star Trek stuff. That was science fiction when, well, was it? Or was it in the beginning stages and it just came out to
Star
us?
Trek came out before they sent man to the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it was
So who had some inside knowledge? Or
somebody.
who?
Or more realistically, what they're doing is they're using the books and the movies, the creative ideas, and implementing them for real.
Yeah, I don't know about all that, but
Well, look at all the gadgets that exist today because of Star Trek.
well, but is it because of that?
It has
Or
to be.
is it, or did they have some inside knowledge?
You know, well,
Or
when you
these
also really,
prophets,
well, and
these
also when you, sorry, go ahead, Adrian.
look at these people that see the future.
Yeah, what I was going to say was when you really look at it, like you just brought these aforementioned series up, Adrian, like Star Trek, or and even to some degree, like even something like with Star Wars, for example, the fact that a lot of this was also made in the later half of the 20th century. It was almost like as if they were trying to view the fact that we were also just 40, 50 years at that time away from entering
Mhm.
the new millennium. It was almost like they were trying to get like an it was almost like they were trying to get like some type of inside view of what the new millennium was going to look like once we entered the year 2000. And even if it was going to take decades for such stuff like this to occur, that in some way, shape, or form, maybe not exactly like we see in these shows and movies, but that's pretty much how they really pictured how things were going to look, decades from now.
Yeah.
Well,
And
look at The
Tom had it-
Simpsons.
Tom's got it good here too, being able to take a pill and fix our minds.
Yeah,
That
Yeah,
would be wonderful. Even the lady I talked to today said it'd be good to have something like that, but it doesn't exist yet.
yeah. But look at The Simpsons. They predicted half of what's going to happen.
yeah,
Now,
you're absolutely
did
right.
the world decide to follow what The Simpsons did? No. How'd that happen? Same premise.
Yep.
Yeah, if they want to say that it is because of this or that, it'd be more Simpsons than it is Star Trek.
Well, but think about it. Star Trek, Star Wars, any of those, they had cell phones.
They did at times. Yes,
They
they did.
had, yeah, they had, well, I guess what we call portals. Now, we
Portals.
can't go through them yet.
I'm a Stargate fan myself, so I defer to the technology of Stargate.
Well, and if you
I don't
really
know
think,
anything about Stargate.
well, and if you guys really think about this,
Great series if you watch it.
if you guys really think about this, I just thought of another movie, which, believe it or not, is more of a sci-fi horror movie, but it still had that futuristic theme to it. In fact, Don has talked about the remake of it on the show. Fear Fans is, believe it or not, even a movie like The Fly, practically. I mean, maybe not exactly. Hopefully, not. It was like it was in that movie, but that whole idea from that movie was it was
Why is a almost a perfect personification of gene, not mutation, but gene manipulation.
that
Yeah.
yeah, that's exactly. But
That's
when you
what
really
concerns me about what they will try to do if they are able to fix gene mutations so that babies are born normal. If they
yeah,
are able to fix it and change things out, what will they try to do later? Will they try to forcibly say, "And don't worry about that one."
yeah, I just saw
So
that.
it's like the island of Doctor Moreau.
Yep. Well, even like what I was saying about like when it comes to like certain types of technology. I mean, even like I said, this movie, The Fly, originally was supposed to be representing, something that was supposed to benefit humanity. In this case, transportation pods to get from point A to point B without, like using a car or going to a plane or something.
Oh,
You
that
know,
would be so wonderful! I could be in Reno in an hour from now, ready to bowl in my tournament.
yeah, like
Well,
without having to do
Right
all.
back home and go to bed.
And you know what? Let's throw this out too. That would be an easier way for
Yeah,
you and me to go out to Adrian's house.
hotels would go out of business.
Oh my God. Yeah.
yeah.
Bye bye Holiday Inn.
You know what
Yep.
also would go out of business? Like,
Bye bye the Overlook.
oh God. Jeez. Well, and also
You know
bye
what?
bye Uber and taxis.
You're
Taxi.
like this, Nick. Stephen King has two books coming out this year.
Oh, he does, really.
The one was announced a few months ago called Never Flinch is book number 6 that includes Holly Gibney. But the next book that's coming out is a retelling of it's a children's book. It's a retelling of Hansel and Gretel.
He needs to
Ah,
not write children's books.
No, this was presented to him as an idea because um, the, the guy that created Where the Wild Things Are,
oh yeah. Yep.
so he had made a lot of drawings for for the Grimm's brothers
Grimm's
stuff.
fairy tales.
Yeah. So a lot of it had to do with I have read Fairy Tale. I liked it.
No, I have not.
That's one of Stephen King's newer titles.
Is any of these? How many of his books are actually part of a or are made into movies?
What a good
Yeah,
majority.
he's had more stories turned into movies than anybody.
That's what I was
That's
saying. He's had
yeah.
quite the majority of movie. I mean, of his stories turn into books or even television shows.
Yeah.
Carrie is my favorite.
Oh yeah, that's a classic. My sister was just watching it actually back in October.
He's something else. I if I can even reach to a tenth of his level, I will be happy.
Yeah.
Because I am in the middle of a new novel. It's a 13th dimension.
Oh, so you got the official what was once the name of a podcast, is now the
I,
name of a
I
book. That's
yep,
awesome. I love it.
finally got that series going.
Awesome.
First book is called The Ball of Kodo.
There's a story that There's a story that I have. I mean, I'm planning again. This will be a future audiobook project, but one of my scary stories books, one I haven't recorded yet. I think it's called Terrifying Tales to Tell at Night. I think there might be one of those stories. It's one of those books that has different authors who wrote stories. I think one of them might have been written by Stephen King. I don't I don't remember the act. I don't remember the name of the story that he wrote in this book, but at some point I'll have to go back and look and see which story it was.
Do
But I know
you
he wrote a story in this book.
do you remember what the story was about?
Nah, yeah, I haven't read it yet. So again, that's gonna. I don't know. I may not be able to even do it this year because I already got a number of other. I'm trying to do the repairs, and I got a few
Can,
other. I'm
can
trying
you
to do a
just
few.
look in the book and look up the title?
Yeah, yeah. Here, I'll be back in just a sec.
Yeah, because I'll tell you immediately if that's Stephen King or not.
Yeah, give me a second.
I know all his stuff. But yeah, um, today was something special.
I bet.
Yeah. And tomorrow I am doing an episode of the 13th Dimension. It's going to be a Valentine's issue. If enough people come on. So,
Okay, so real quick, I'm looking now. Yeah, this is the book. It's called Terrifying Tales to Tell at Night. It's got 10 different stories, and it's collected by Stephen Jones. But again, it's written by the stories are individually written by other authors. Uh, the story that he wrote. Oh, yep, here it is. Here, here, there by tigers.
Here There Be Tigers.
Be tigers. Excuse me. Yes.
That is one of his earliest works.
Yeah, this originally came once again another tributary book to the original Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark books, which also has illustrations in it, but a little bit different. This came out back in 2018. So yeah, I was gonna say but yeah, like I said, I haven't read the story just yet, but that does sound like an early story that he wrote a long time ago.
Here There Be Tigers was released in April of 1968.
Oh, 1968. Okay, yeah. This
Yep.
this this what that means this that story was added into this book 50 years after it was originally written.
Yeah, it was actually just adapted into a sort of like a cartoon thing back in October. I forget what channel it was on YouTube. It was pretty cool. It actually kind of merged that along with small pieces of another short story together. But Here There Be Tigers is one of his very first things he's ever published.
Now I realize that if we end up making a compilation audiobook again with different narrators, that story undoubtedly that's going to be quite a fight because obviously
So
you and
I,
several others.
I can tell you right now, you are not going to get the okay to do an audiobook on that one. If that is by
Oh, really?
authors, especially with Stephen King, you are not going to get an okay on doing an audiobook on that.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Even if
For
it was
for
just
one, for one, there already is. Well, okay, hold on.
I don't know if there was ever an audio. I didn't see anything about an audiobook already made for this one.
Not on that, but
Yeah.
there is an audio of Here There Be Tigers.
Oh, well, that's true. Yeah. Well, as far as the other stories, the other just real. I'll just read this. I mean, I'll just say who the other authors who participate because there were only 10 stories. Neil Gaiman, R. Chetwin Hayes, excuse me.
Neil Gaiman is another one of the big ones.
Yeah, his is the very first story in this book. It's called "Click Click the Rattleback." Um, R. Chetwin Haynes, Linda E. Rucker, then Stephen King, Ramsey Campbell, Manly Wade Wellman, Robert Shearman, Lisa Morton, Michael
Robert,
Marshall Smith.
yeah.
What's that?
Robert Shearman, yeah.
Yeah, Lisa Morton, Michael Marshall Smith, and Charles L. Grant.
That last name sounds familiar.
Yeah, that one sounds familiar too. Oh, Katie knows who Neil Gaiman is.
Yeah. Charles L. Grant, he might actually be related to the guy that owns Grant Publishing,
Okay.
if not him himself.
Funny enough, his story that he's called, I know this is based on a Nickelodeon television series, horror television series. So ironically, his story is called "Are You Afraid of the Dark?" So that's kind of funny. And ironically, when you said about, in this case, Stephen King's tale, "Here There Be Tigers," Michael Marshall Smith sounds like he wrote kind of a, not necessarily a similar title, but funny enough, involving cats too, called "The Man Who Drew Cats." But I haven't read this yet as a whole, so hopefully sometime maybe in October I'm going to try to
Well,
read this.
Stephen King does have cats in a lot of his stories. Here,
Yeah.
the Tigers, Pet Cemetery.
Yep.
There's a short story called The Cat from Hell.
Yep.
Sleepwalkers. It wasn't a book, but he made a movie.
Right.
So he does include cats in quite a few of his shows. Okay, it's now about 9:30. I'm
Yep.
getting really tired. I drank NyQuil before we started the show. Because I'm starting to feel the effects of it.
Right. Right.
It's 9:30 Monday night. I was in bed at 8:15.
If I could just say something real quick, just so you guys know, it's just a shout out real quick. Is that this upcoming Sunday is my mom's 70th birthday. So I know it's still
What?
early, but yeah, I
You
just want
okay with you telling her age?
yeah, she's fine. She's fine with it.
Okay, because I don't know most women being okay with that.
It's a big birthday for her as far as we're concerned, but I just want to just give my mom a, happy early birthday. And also, considering what it's going to be tomorrow, I know you said it's just another day for you, Jeremy, but I'll still say it anyway. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody tomorrow.
Yeah, it is just another day for me. I will say that was the day my mom and dad got married.
Well, it's also Joe. Well, Joe and his wife,
That was
it's
his
also
birthday
their
too.
anniversary
Yep.
too. That's their anniversary tomorrow.
Yeah, I think mom and dad would have been married 48 years.
Okay.
Yeah, they were married in 1977.
Ironically, that was the same year my dad graduated high school.
Yeah, so yeah, so I'm planning on doing a 13th dimension tomorrow because my goal is the 100th episode of 13th Dimension on March 7th.
Yes.
I have done 96 episodes. John
Incredible.
Daughtry was number 96. So, and oh man, I had so much fun with that interview with him last week. That was so good.
Hmm. Yeah, I watched a little bit of that. I know I said I couldn't, but I did watch a little bit of it, fortunately.
So, tomorrow will be 97. Then the following week, 13th Dimension is taking part of the 22-hour suicide veteran suicide awareness. So that will be 98. That will be with me and Scott and Tim. And I just got to fit in one more episode, number 99, somewhere. And then I will get the 100th episode. And I want to get the 100th episode before I go to Louisiana because when I come back from Louisiana, I'm going to be bald.
Yeah. Oh, jeez, it's that time again.
It's that time. And
Oh boy.
I'm ready. I am tired of this. I am
Just
tired
look,
of this.
you just look good with the long hair.
Well, I know I do, but I'm ready for it to go.
Oh, there. Well, I would have said it. I would have said, let's start a GoFundMe so that way you can keep your hair.
I don't want to keep the hair. I am ready for it to go. but yeah, in 1 week or 1 month's time, I am going to Baton Rouge.
Wow. Ironically, I was going to head down south also in late March myself, but to Texas. But I'm not sure if I'm still going or not. I'm going to be heading down to Shirts, Texas, possibly.
Okay.
Yeah, for a Paracon. Been invited to the Lone Star Paracon, but I'm not sure if we're going to get down there or not. So that would have been my first trip down to Texas ever. In fact,
Get a fishing pole
a fishing pole.
and a rifle.
Well,
I would probably get the rifle first before the
I
fishing.
was going to say I should probably get the rifle first before I get the fishing pole.
Nah. I worked in Texas once a week when I lived in New Mexico.
In case anyone asks where Shirts is, it's pretty much like a suburb of San Antonio, so like southeast Texas. Pretty
Never
much
mind, just don't go.
just don't go.
Yeah, no. All right.
So,
Y'all,
in the
let's
meantime, really quick, for those who are watching, please follow this page.
Oh, the 22-hour podcast.
Yeah,
yeah.
that is the page that is put in on the 22-hour show. Um, he will be taking over Things Network for the entirety of that event.
And mind you, he is staying up for the entirety of that event, and
Oh
I
my
have to put up
gosh.
with him the next day.
Jeez.
Well, I got Saturday morning. I got an early shift on that one.
This
Jeremy,
is year number 3 or 4. I can't remember, but
Something like that, yeah.
yeah.
Jeremy, for the special Valentine's special 13th Dimension tomorrow night. I'm not sure if I'll be able to stay on for the entire time, but I'll be on for a little bit. So
I only want to do 1 hour. Just
what's that?
one. I only want to do 1 hour. That's it.
Well, no. Well, even if it's just an hour, I might only just stay on for just a few minutes.
All right.
But yeah, I'm still. I've already started putting together my Nick Files special for the 22-hour suicide veteran special. Somebody, I'm just going to say, my mom actually suggested this would actually be an even better idea because I remember Zach had said, why not cover like hospitals or something like that. My
Yeah.
mom decided to like kind of give me one step further. Why not create a list, like a top 10 once again, of veterans hospitals that are said to be haunted, not just like your typical hospitals, but like there's no doubt in my mind that there's probably veterans hospitals that are definitely haunted.
They all are.
Yeah, I would think just about every single one, even the more new and recent ones that have been built over the last few years, are definitely haunted.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We're gonna go ahead and call it a night. I originally only wanted to do this show for 1 hour, but here we
Uh-huh.
are.
You know how this always goes.
I know. Um, but I got to talk about the important thing.
Yes,
That's what I care about.
that's as I would say that's what's most important.
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for playing along and sticking up with us and listening to me ramble. But this was probably the most important thing I've ever talked about in all of my podcasts and shows. Um,
Word needed to get out about this.
it this needs to send a message
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
because somebody with an autism diagnosis may not actually have autism.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It may be something entirely different, and this genetics testing proves it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, all right, folks, stay tuned for tomorrow night, 13th Dimension, Valentine's Day, Valentine's episode. And then next week, we will, as usual, figure out what we're going to talk about. Maybe Puma Punka, like I have been wanting to
Yeah,
do.
I was going to say we still haven't talked about that yet.
Yeah, well, I was going to talk about it tonight until this came up.
Yeah. Well, and also with your medicine, it also made your time very limited too.
Yeah, yeah. So I am going to go straight to bed after this.
Get plenty of rest.
Oh, I'll be getting some rest. By the time I get into bed, I'll be fighting to stay asleep. That's how good this stuff works that I take.
That's good. That's really good.
All right, folks. Have a good night. For those of you in the Midwestern area, be safe out there with all the snow and ice that we have gotten.
Yep.
Um, Otherwise, have a happy Valentine's Day
Yep.
if you celebrate it, or if you're able to celebrate it, or choose. If not, have a happy just another day.
Yeah. Happy Valentine's Day. Take care, everyone.
Have a good night, everyone.
Take care.